看完了，我的膝盖。
那个叫低着头的漫画。Well, good afternoon. Well, I will start 5 minutes earlier. But due to my limited English capacity, so to lower the difficulties for interpreters, I will speak in Chinese. Well, my Mandarin is not that standard. Hope you can understand. Well, my topic is Kubernetes for beginners and for contributors. And I want this kind of users to get familiar with Kubernetes workflow. And actually, on the first day in the workshop, actually my speech covered most of the speech. If you have attended that workshop, you must be quite familiar with this workflow. I will briefly introduce myself. I'm Zhao Yuan from ZTE Corporation, and I will give a brief introduction, and my demo will be displayed by my colleague Zhao Yuan. And this is the agenda. As I mentioned, actually it is a mini version for the workshop on 13th. But for the first part, I will give a brief introduction to the community ecosystem. Well, for the million, the QBS project or users of project can be called a community. Well, to enlarge that, the QBS itself and the project itself and contributors, users, and other surrounding users can also be called a community. And to further enlarge that, maybe the whole foundation and all open source projects can also be called a larger community. Well, for personal involvement, maybe more concentrated on a specific area. For example, for the core database or some other specific aspects, I want to make particular contributions to that. And for this kind of community, it includes several agencies or code base, and for the working groups or interesting groups like SIGs or WGS, worker groups, and the community contributors, and for the communication channels among these, and also the resources I need to require to access to this community, and where I can get help and we can access to required documents or manuals. And this is organization architecture. Well, for Kubernetes, well, this one is organization, but for community, it has another name. For agencies that governed by Kubernetes have the following 6 parts. First, the Kubernetes, that is a component. On the right hand, the top one is the Kubernetes incubator, and the Kubernetes client. And all these kind of clients are all governed by Kubernetes clients. Well, the other organization is Kubernetes CSI. That is kind of a protocol that is a specific organization for this part and to support the subprojects of Kubernetes CSI. And we also have Kubernetes SIG, that is specific interesting group. All these relevant projects are governed by this group. Well, for the other part is Kubernetes retired, to manage all the retired projects. And this slide shows different kinds of agencies that based on the government organization. For example, Kubernetes have 60 agencies above that. And we also have the website community features, in a test infrastructure. All of these kind of projects are management in this project. And there are 19 incubator projects. As we have said, the Kubernetes clients, there are 10 sub-projects under it, and it supports all types of different languages. The client end in different languages and Kubernetes CSI, there are other sub-projects under it as well. And on the left, it's Kubernetes 6. There are 30 sub-projects, and on the right, it's already retired, the projects that already end the lifetime. For example, we have a team, they are translating the files. The translated files are put in a particular base or repo, and then this, after transition, this would be retired. And for this SIG, it is the SIG is the full name, Special Interest Group, and under it is the working group. And for the SIG, it's focusing on particular area, and there are small teams working on particular areas, and they will work on a particular planning or discussing. And for the working groups, it covers a slightly bigger range. So under that working group, it might include all different areas, fields, and might relate to the feature discussion and all types of development. It can be related to multiple SIGs, so they established a working group for this coordination cross SIGs. And on this slide, it is about the communication channels in the community. So you can have a mail list. In Google, there's a mailing list. After you subscribe, there will be some new topics. There will be a mail alert, and you can also join the discussion and reply. And GitHub, as you know, for GitHub is a place where you host your codes and you submit your PR and etc. And there's Slack. And for the Slack, it is something like the chat room by text messages. So if you have a question, needing help or something, or want to talk with other members on the SIG, you can talk with them through Slack. They normally will have a quite in-time response, but there's a time difference after all. When you're in different countries, then there might be some lags. On the left bottom corner, on YouTube, there are some channels where there will be some talks. For example, the current KubeCon meetings, while later all the videos will be uploaded to the YouTube channel, and there are some real-time channels as well, so you can watch the videos and also discuss on particular project, a particular problem. And for the Zoom, for example, there's a weekly meeting and bi-weekly meeting, etc. This is also a sort of a video conference tool, which is very convenient. And you don't have to use VPN if you want to use Zoom. And a discussion board, it's only started a while ago, and there's also a Chinese section. If you want to have discussion on this discussion board, you're more than welcome to do it on the board. And on the bottom right, there are other communication channels like KubeCons, like the conferences we're doing today, or the meetups. In China, some companies would actually hold meetups irregularly. If you follow the public accounts, and probably you'll bump into some of those meetup information they release on their public accounts. And here are the links for those channels I've talked about. So after the meeting, when you get the slides, you can actually click into them. And about the roles in the community, for some roles, they're already deleted. In the very beginning, we had a contributor. As long as you're in the community and submit a PR, you become a contributor. And on top of it, if you are a part of the Kubernetes organization, you'll be a member of it. And if you contribute for a long time, or if you has expertise in particular field and you know more about it, if you're able to review the code other people write, then probably you'll be a reviewer. And on top of it, if you're just so familiar or you specializes in particular area and a lot of features developed by you, and if you feel you are able to approve the new features other people submit, then you can apply to be the approver. And for the owner, is the maintainer or the applicator of the kube, and the maintainer, of course, is already removed from this whole role structure. And in the community resources, for example, if you want to learn how to use Kubernetes, you can go to the document library or go to the blog, or you can join the online courses or YouTube for videos, or do the playground. Playground is some online exercises and online experiments and online learning platforms. And these are the links. And for the second part is about how do you contribute into it. If you want to contribute into the community, it's not only about submitting codes. Actually, all the interactions can be seen as contribution to the community of Kubernetes. For example, if certain documents are not so precisely described, you can change the documents, or if you spot any bugs, and you can you can issue bug report telling them you found a bug or something. It is also contribution. And also code review. If you see the code written by others, and if you have some thoughts, or if you spot any incomplete considerations in the code, you can also submit some review opinions. These are only four aspects. Any interactions can be seen as contribution to the community. And this is about the PR submission. This is a whole workflow from the beginning to the ending. So I'm not going to talk about details of this workflow. Afterwards, you can actually download the slides and take a further look. Otherwise, if we talk about it, we wouldn't have enough time. And if you submit code, you have a Git workflow. A lot of peers here have used the Git, I think. For example, if you fork the code to local, and then you get the code modification and push it upward and submit for PR. If it proved, it can be integrated. And these are CA jobs. Well, for these ones, if you want to integrate your PR, if the code has no problems, then there will be more than 10 jobs. They all need to be approved. For example, some testing, basic validation, the formatting, etc., or the type checks. And on the left is some blocking jobs. When you submit the code, there will be some initial test. It needs to or they all need to pass both blocking jobs and non-blocking jobs. When it's ready to integrate, it will trigger all the jobs again. So if it's some of the non-blocking jobs are not approved, it can still do the integration anyway. So an interesting thing is there's a robot. At this in-test infra, the robot does the realization, is the workflow for the robot. And actually, under the PR, you can reply the commands supported by the bot, and according to the commands, it can trigger related jobs. For example, approve. If it considers your code is good to integrate, and they will give you a /approve.
and the bot can tag you with a proof. And for the rest of the jobs, there are certain tags as well from the slash cc. If you have uh, submitted, if you want someone to take a look at it, for example, if there's someone in the community who knows about it and you want them to look at your PR, you can actually use CC to notify that particular person.
它这个机器人的话，
And for
除
the
了那些
bots,
正儿八经的
in
命令之外，
addition to
还
those
有一些挺
commands,
好玩的命
there
令。
are other
你比如
interesting
说，
commands as
你回家
well.
的时候，你想
When
让它
you're
讲个笑话，
bored, you
你
wanted
可
to
以输入个命令，
tell
说
you
让
a
做什么，
joke, you
它就
can
给
just
你讲
type
一
in
个
slash
笑
joke,
话出来，
it will
来
tell you
回
a
复这个方
joke
式。
by reply.
当然呢，它的笑话一般都
Of
是
course, the
英文的笑
jokes
话，你
is
直
in
接讲的话，我们可
English,
能 get 不
so
到。
probably we don't
然后
laugh over the
另
jokes
外一个的
because it's
话
in
就是
English.
你回复一个情况失败了，它会给
And
你
if
发一个
you
同样的一个回复。
reply
再一个就是说，
slash slug, it will
还有
give
两个命
you
令就是说，
a
你可
emoji
以
and
回复一下学一下
a
猫叫或
shrug.
者学一下狗叫，
Or
那
you
会给
can
它直
ask
接
it
生
to
成一
learn
个
cats or dog
小猫或者小狗的图
barking.
片。
It will generate
这
a
都
cat
是
picture or dog
为了活
picture.
跃社区气氛
And this
这
is
样的一
actually
些
just
比较好
to
玩的命
make
令。
the whole community more energetic, more active.
这个是有一个简短
And
的
I've got a short demo here.
简短的 demo。这个时间的话，这个是不是可
I
以？我
have
们
no
大
idea
概
if I have
看一
enough
下。
time though.
这个就是第一天，我们就
So
是新贡献的工
this
作
is a
坊开
day
展，
one. In the
使用的应用的是
workshop,
大概
contributor
可以
workshop,
看一
this is
下。这个
the
是上次
actually
大
the
家提交
repo we
的一
used.
些
These are
接了一些 PR 吧，
the
这是
PR
标准
submitted
的
by
一些接的
people
一些
for
PR。
just for exercise.
你比如说第一个现在这
For
个，
example, the first one.
现在网络可能
Probably the internet is disconnected.
网络可能有一点问题。我们稍等一下吧，我们先把后面先讲。
Well, we'll talk about the following slides first and see what happens.
下面这份内容的话
For the
是
next part,
关于 Kubernetes 的一个
it's
版本
the
版本的
version,
发布和管理。
the release and management of the
大家知道，就是在
Kubernetes
Kubernetes 里面到
versions.
了
Currently, it is
就是
already
1.1
at
版已经是在9月底
1.12.
发布的，
It's already
然后
released
现
by
在
the
目
end
前
of
正在运行
September.
中的是
The
1.13 版本。
ongoing one is
这样的话，就是
1.13 version.
它这个版本的一个大概管理过程
So
吧。
this is about the management process of the
版本
versions,
的类型
the
有
types
个
of
阿尔法版本，
releases,
还有
alpha
版本，以及
releases,
它的正式版，
beta
还有
releases,
底面版。
official ones,
这
or
个内容
emergency
我就
ones.
先不说了，
I'm
大
not
家
going to
就
talk
可
about
以看一下。
details. You
这
can
样的
take
话
a
就是
look
说
afterwards.
阿尔法版本，也就是说是一个
And
类似于抢先提案
alpha
的。
is
这个版本呢，相
something
当于说你
you
目前
can
对该个版
see
本规划的
in advance, and
里面
beta
的特
one
性，已经基本
is
上有人推行，然后它
those
会发布一个 beta 版本，
you can
然后后
basically
面
see
所有
the
的功能都
features
播出之后，它会发
when
布
all
一个
the
正式的
functions
release 的版
are
本。
okay. There will
比
be
较
an
大的话，
official
可能会
release,
和
and for
这
the
个
emergency
有
release,
说
it
就
is in case
特
of
别发布一个地
emergency.
方
There
的。
will be a particular
这
release
个的
for the
话，
emergency
跟
case.
前面
And
说的也基本上
this
是对
is
应的，
similar
就
or
是它
corresponding
发
to
布
what I
版本
have
的一个规
said.
划。
It is the
它阿尔法
versioning,
版本一般都是
like
每
alpha.
两周会发布一个，
Normally, it's issued
然后
every
贝塔的
two
话是
weeks.
按需，
Beta
然
released
后正式版
as
的话它
needed.
是根据阿尔
Official
法
is
周
as
期制，
needed.
每3个月
Currently,
发布一个正式
the
的 release 的版本。
official
频繁的话
release
也
is
是按需来发
every
布的。
3 months, and emergency is also released
这个的话
as
是目前
needed.
当前正在进行中的
And this one is the
1.13这个
ongoing
版本的一个
1.13 version.
版本管理周期，
And this is
这
the
个是
version
从
management
10月1
cycle
号开始的。
starting
这
from the
个
1st
也
of
不再
October.
赘述了，因为这个
I'm not talking about details as well,
列的也比较多，
as
那
there
有
are a
的
lot of
有
things
的
listed
就不
here,
说。
and there's no
目
need to go into
前
details.
目前正在
So
我
far,
们正在手术的阶段，现在11月15号，应该就是说
by 15th of
代码
November,
和测试应该是
the
进入一
code
个
and
正阶段。
testing are frozen,
不过现在很多人可
were
能设
frozen.
计可能在开会，
But
代码会
probably
有可
many
能
people
会
in a
延迟一些。
meeting, so probably it will be slightly delayed.
这个的话就是说一个分支，
And this is the
就管理一个分支
branch,
的管理。
versioning branch management.
你比如说在 master 上，
For example, if it's on
进入
master,
1.13这个管理过，就是这个版本
it
周期之
goes
后，
through
先发布一个
1.13
1.13 版
cycle,
本。
it will release
在 1.13 年，
1.130,
1档是它的大版本或者主版本，这个13档
if
是
it's
它的
a
小版本。
1, it is the master version. If it's 0, it is the 1.13's official version, and if it's a 1.13.1, it will be the patch release, etc. So you can get the logic. And on top of it, 1.13, there's alpha version, and at certain time there will be a beta version, and then you get a release 1.x, and then on that branch you keep moving forward, and then you will actually regularly get the PR from master, and after the code is frozen, it will be unfrozen after a while. If you find some failures on master, it will be put back to 1.13 version, and
Okay, once we have released the version 1.13 and later, we'll have another branch like 1.110. For example, once we release the version 1.13, and we have some feedback from customers, and we will repair this kind of issues, and then we'll again update the version to the branch and replace the 1.113.1 version. Well, every 3 months we released an official version. The speed is quite fast. So we will no longer always support. So we're not possible. It is not possible to always support the old or the previous versions. For example, once we release the version 1.13, maybe we will not support the version 1.10. Well, for the following part, I will give the floor to my colleague. It is for private users. For private users to find the easiest way to deploy or to use the Kubernetes. Well, before that, I will try that again to say the network, to check the network. Well, actually it worked. And there was a workshop. And here we can see that. For example, if I'm the reviewer and I saw this kind of comments, and I will just reply. And I replied successful. Reload the page, and the robot will automatically upload the message. Well, if the manager approved these reviews, and then I will reply such kind of message. And then it will have a tag that says approved. So now we have both tags, and we can see the tips. Here we can have the see and the test and the chat. And if all the test passes, and it will be successfully admission. If it not pass all the tests, and the suggestions will automatically pump up. Reload the page. And here we can grab a random picture from the website that was a demo. Now I will give the floor to my colleague. to show the easy way for beginners to use or employ the Kubernetes.
大家好啊，再次感谢分享
Well, good afternoon. Thank you
他算是绝对是那个社区大牛，
for my colleague.
凭借这种
Thank for my
非
colleague.
常
He has both the talents and the speaking representation ability.
然后大家也知道，
Well, here we'll talk about the community deployment,
各个的平台，包括
and we can see that it can be deployed on various platforms, including the cloud or host or laptop, or even the VM.
然后这里面是
Here is
官方文档的连接
the official document from Kubernetes, and we can have the information about the cloud or the solutions.
然后就是说，对于我们来说，我们如何去选择自己
Well, for us, how to choose the suitable solutions?
下面就是说，如果说咱们是个云用户，不管是
Well, if I'm a user of some cloud, no matter for the enterprise cloud or private cloud,
比方华为啊那个
for example, the Huawei, Tencent cloud,
这些如果是云用户的话，
if
需
I'm
要
a cloud
按照
user,
人家云
well,
这个
I have to follow the instruction of their cloud
一般来
platform
说是那种
in general.
界面式的、电脑式的，操作化比较方
They
便。
are operated on the panels.
然后如果
It's
说
quite
是
simple and convenient. But if I have only one local machine, then how will I deploy the Kubernetes? Here I just offered 5 examples. First is a local up cluster that was original code from Kubernetes scripting,
需要的主环境、波浪环境来进行。
and it runs in Golang environment and deploys the Kubernetes. But the second is a micro Kubernetes solution, and it including the Snap, this kind of tool, and all this kind of deployment will just plug in into the director.
这个应该大家都比较熟悉。
Well, the other is a Minikube. I guess you are familiar with that. It is deployed in the base station, in the VM.
下面是那个 KubeADM， 这个是
Well,
比较经典的
another is a KubeADM, which is quite a typical container solution, and it can deploy the Kubernetes master.
然后再通过 KubeADM 做完。
Well, with Kubernetes join, and we can add
然后再下面一个
customized nodes. Well, another is KubeADM DAO in the cluster.
它可以部署一个多节点
That is to say, in a cluster, it can deploy multiple nodes, and all these kind of nodes are Docker's container, and a default cluster node and the 2 nodes are actually the containers. Well, this slide shows the solutions of these 5 local machines. If you're interested, you can take a photo of that and check the detail on this website. And these are the official illustration. Later, I will show you the demo for these 5 solutions. But what if my machine do not have sufficient resources and cannot deploy a cluster, but I still want to experience Kubernetes, so what should I do? Here I show you 2 solutions. The first is PWK solution, that is play with Kubernetes. If we open this kind of panel, and we can have split different kind of examples, and we can add nodes and customize the nodes, and all these nodes can be added, multiple nodes. And once it's added, and the illustration of tips will be popped up to show you how to operate or how to deploy the Kubernetes. Once it is created, and it will remind reminds you to create the Kubernetes cluster through the through kubeadm, and with this kubeadm plugin, and we can also create another file to plug in so that we can have a master node and root node. And later, this one is a Qt coder that from the official website to improve the user experience. Here I also show you an example. This one, as you can see, we have different scenarios. For example, first we can launch a single node cluster. That is actually to allocate a node and to deploy through the kube node. And here we can launch a multiple node cluster using the KDM. And here we have another scenario. And then this one show you a multi-node deployment solution. For example, on the left side, it shows the operation illustrations. For example, this one, it shows through the Kubernetes unit, we can deploy a master node, and for this one, we can deploy the master node to type such command. And this one is the configuration information. Well, back to the presentation. No matter the cloud user or local machine, or you only want to experience, you can choose your solutions to address your requirements. Here I will show you some demo. Actually, it's a demo for the current 5 solutions. I will browse one by one. The first one is local app cluster. And this is the original code of Kubernetes. Once the download, we can run the local app cluster script, and here we can have the tools and have the kube original file. All the start of this cluster are through the Kubernetes, and I'll skip the details. And after the deployment, and we can through this to check the kube nodes. And here I want to check the specific status of each node, and this is a component. And this is a local component. A component is quite simple. If you have suitable environment, you can run that. The second one is micro Kubernetes. To run that, you have to first install a package tool that's called Snap. First, we need to run Snap, and then to run the install command. And the version is 2.5, 2.3, and it will automatically download from the outside, download some installation packages. Since we have downloaded that, so just to skip that. Through the binary files, we can create components and put them in Snap file, and through this one we can locate the information of each node, or we can throw the port to locate or check the information of specific port. Or to end that, we can type the remove. For the next one, it's a demo for the deployment of Minikube. Well, for Minikube, it will download an ISO image, and within this, it runs the Kubernetes cluster. Since I already have the virtual image, so I can just directly run the operation, and we can run the VM directly and to deploy the Kubernetes. And you can check the node information.
It's a bit slow here. As you can see, there's still at ready status. And then afterwards, there's a get a pod. And by Minikube SSH, you can get into the VM and you can get to see the information. And then you will see the pod. After a while, it should be all right. And then you can see this already running. The next one is a kubeETM. Of course, you've got to download some images as well for deployment. You need the kubeETM and also Docker. For the deployment, you just need to use kubeETM init. And at the last step, it will download the images and then start the static pods and API server, scheduler and Kubernetes components, etc. And then afterwards, it will be good to go. As you can see, you can use get nodes to check the node information. But here it's not ready yet because there's no plugin yet. Here, you've got to deploy the CI yourself. You can choose Flannel, Vivo, etc. We're also on the GitHub. We also contributed. There's also a network plugin. Except DNS, the rest of it is alright. But the deployment of DNS still needs a CI plugin. For this deployment of ATM, if you want to cancel it, you can use this kubeETM reset, and then it's docking dock. You've got to download it from docking dock website. It's called DND/S. This is a script you can deploy through the app. It will download the Docker image and use 3 Docker containers. And the first container is master. The rest of the 2 containers are seen as nodes. And then afterwards, you can see there were 1 master, 2 nodes, and in pod. There's also Kubernetes components and DNS, etc. From Docker PNS, you can see the containers. There are 3, 1 master and 2 nodes. So that is the end of my demo. Do you have any questions to ask me? And here's the end of our speech and demo. So do you have any questions or any doubts? Anything you want to know? For macro Kubernetes and mini kube, what's the difference? What's the difference of the scenarios of use? For the macro Kubernetes, it's a binary deployment, so it will use the management package to download the binaries, the binary components. For minikube, it's use a VM, so it deploys through the VM. So if it's a minikube 0.30, it's use a kube EDM, so it's a container deployment, while the other one is a component deployment. That's the difference. My question is about the contribution to the community. If I have spot a bug and if I want to write code on my own computer, I might need to do I need to test it in my machine or my own cluster or something? Well, if there's a cluster local to validate, then you can do it. But if you cannot do it, you can directly submit to the community. As I said, there are 10 CI jobs. The CI jobs has a to end-to-end test, so it's actually a very complete functional test. So if you actually can solve the issue, it can validate and prove. Hello. My question is, so de facto in production, are there any clusters, cluster building approaches in production? Because for Minikube or the others, they're like toys, right? Are there anything that you have used that can be actually running in production, or anything that actually has gone through the test and proved it's valid enough? In production, on the first slide of my deck, I have given you the list. There are some quite mature methods and approaches actually, and for us, we have written our own script to actually start the cluster. Of course, about the community we talk about, we're planning on the next year's first Q or second Q, there will be a GA. Then if it's GA, then it can be adapted in production. So if there are no further questions, this is the end of my speech and demo. Thank you very much for listening.